Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you Fodlord versus Chickendew in round 1 of the 5th Asia Pacific tournament. Today we're going to be seeing Sainte-Mère-Église, and on the Allied side the 3rd Canadian Infantry, and on the Axis side under command of Chickendew the 116th Panzer. So let's start off by having a quick chat about how these divisions match up on this map specifically. So the first thing we've got to consider are the rams out of the side of the 3rd Canadian. It's sort of their special unit, and they are exceptional at taking on the Panzer IIIs that the 116th will be using early on. One thing they can be countered by, however, on the side of the 116th is the Marders. The Marders can come out to play, and I believe we saw Eugen take on the 3rd Canadian with those Marders previously, and really do a great job against, I think it was Corbeau, in the Steel Division League final. So that's something that Chickendew could definitely do in this early game. Get a Marder, use the high AP at a closer range than usual to just wipe out the rams early on. But I guess that depends if we're actually going to see a ram out of the side of the 3rd Canadian anyway, at least early on. We might instead see an infantry engagement, especially towards this town. There's stormtroopers, there's wasps, and an abundance of rifles. So the 3rd Canadian, on paper, looks like they should be better going into a town than the 116th, especially due to low availability of infantry on the side of the 116th. But that's not to say that the 116th don't have the tools to push pretty hard into a town. And you can see that Chickendew has actually placed some of them down already. So this is a Flampanzer and the Panzerwerfer, and these two vehicles are really what allows the 116th to be aggressive in the early phase of this game. So the Flampanzer can just roll through the town and fire in all directions with its flamethrowers, which makes it a very strong unit at killing off infantry, especially things like stormtroopers. Of course, we are likely to see a Wasp, yes, from Fodlord on the other side, and that does have a similar effect, but the difference between the Flampanzer and the Wasp is that the Wasp has to be front-facing, whereas the Flampanzer does not. So the Flampanzer can just fast move all over the place, never really has to stop and aim. Now the Panzerwerfer, that is fantastic for this mid-engagement because it can stun all of the units that Fodlord's going to present in the mid early on, and maybe cause surrenders aside from just kills from the flamethrower, which will also nullify the effect of enemy wasps in this case if the Panzerwerfer hits the mark. So that's going to be a very interesting engagement to watch at the start at least, and something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Let's have a look at the units that Fodlord's putting down though. He is actually going to be bringing in a ram for this top side, accompanied by the rifles and the recon infantry. He's also got the Vickers HMG in there. For the town, it's going to be 1 unit of stormtroopers, 2 units of rifles, command infantry, and the Wasp. Further down, it's going to be some recon along with another rifle squad, and on the very bottom side, it's going to be 1 AT gun with some recon there. On the side of Chickendew, it's going to be a 250-10 with the Panzerschreck for the top. It's going to be a Flampanzer up there. 1 Flampanzer for the mid with 1 Panzer Grenadier and the Panzerwerfer, and on the bottom side an MG with a Panzergren. So a very much half-track start here from Chickendew. No Panzer IIIs, maybe does not want to play into the rams too much early on because the Panzer IIIs really don't match up very well. They would have to get exceptionally close to really do the damage that they need to, and then the ram at that range can still just as easily penetrate. I would say the main difference really is the veterancy. So the veterancy difference, you can get like 3-star Panzer IIIs for example with command nearby, and that can definitely give you an advantage against things like the Ram 2 early on. At close range that is, because you're more likely to hit your first shot. So here comes the Panzerwerfer. Oh, that is a nice hit right there. Goes straight into the stormtroopers, straight into the rifles. If it can pin this Wasp as well, That will give the Flampanzer a great chance of pushing all the way through here. Chickendew, I think he should probably pick up this infantry and carry on into that Panzerwerfer strike, like straight into the face of all of this infantry. I'm surprised how far back these half-tracks actually were, honestly. And the fact that he's not going to be pushing into this is a little bit worrying. Okay, now he's going. Maybe he was just waiting for them both to be into position. I'm a bit concerned about Chickendew's play here. Maybe he wasn't convinced that he actually hit the mark. Obviously, we can see that his Panzerwerfer strike was pretty much perfect. But from his perspective, maybe he's a bit concerned that the front line didn't collapse as much. And therefore, he's not in as good a position as he thinks he is to move forwards or continue moving forwards. Flampanzer's going to get the jump on the Wasp. Wasp, actually that was a command carrier, sorry. That goes down. The Wasp now coming out to play. All flames being thrown each other's way. Okay, the Wasp is going to be forced back first and does get killed. That is huge. Flampanzer now going to be able to hit these Stormtroopers in the building. Stormtroopers are going to be engaging the Panzergrens. They do get forced back from this building. Grenade does get thrown at the 251. Oh, those rifles, they came out the wrong side of that building. They're going to get absolutely mowed down by the MG42s of the Panzer Grenadiers. And these initial Sainte-Mère-Église town battles are absolutely insane sometimes. And in this case, it is no different. This Flampanzer really doing a fantastic job. Fodlord waiting round the corner with this Ram 2. Does Chickendew know it's there? He does not. He is going to be bumping into it. He's going to want to get out of the way of that. Honestly, this Flampanzer might be able to run the Ram 2 down, because one thing that the Flampanzers can do against tanks is just put flames underneath them constantly. And what that allows them to do is basically keep them moving whilst they continue to sort of pin them down, I guess. Now in this case, the Flampanzer here is going to be able to run all over the place. The rifle leader has to get this Pier on target and will. That was an incredible Pier shot. Wow. Oh, right up and over like 3 houses. Incredible stuff. Right. Either way, the Flampanzer has done a lot of damage. But Chickendew may really want to find another one at this point in order to continue pressing through. That was a joy to watch, however. Really, really interesting. Now the half-track's going to be trying to do some damage to the Stormtroopers here. Panzergren's just going to be moving away as they don't want to take that 100-meter range engagement. And an explosive start, but not really too much ground made on either side. 51% territory lead is no longer enough to find a +1. So Chickendew's going to have to find a +2 in order to solidify the lead he currently has. Now down the main road, a Wasp does get taken out there. 250-10 has arrived. The Ram 2 was going to engage Chickendew's half-track, but is not going to this time around. Panzerschreck has found its way into the town. But here comes the Panzerwerfer. That's going to be trying to hit this Ram 2. Possibly any reinforcements coming in as well. These 2 units of Stormtroopers, I don't think they're going to be necessarily damaged, like they're not going to lose any men. But they are a little bit panicked there. New Flampanzer is on the way. So, Panzer Grenadiers going to be taking on the Vickers HMG. With the arrival of the Staghound AA, this 250-10 is going to want to get into position. Flampanzer here is going to break through and help with the Panzerschreck to get rid of that universal carrier. So that was a nice kill. 55% territory lead now for Chickendew. That's going to be a +1 now on the board. Ooh, nice kill there. 250-10 does take out the Staghound AA. The Vickers HMG has been left pinned. And there is no ram up here to stop these half-tracks from making ground. So I love this sort of reliance on these half-tracks here from Chickendew, and less of a reliance on the Panzer IIIs early on. Yes, there is a Panzer III available on the top side of the town, but it's not being used or being relied upon as much as these other half tracks, and that's making Chickendew's a push very mobile. However, the Ram 2 is going to come around the corner there. It's going to clean up the Flampanzer. The Panzergrens have been killed off. The 250-10 might look for the engagement onto the Ram 2 at close range, but not going to find it, as the 250-10 does get told to fall back. The Ram 2, however, is approaching. Oh, crew knockout there. The 250-10 might get the kill, especially at this range. I'm not sure if it's going to quite have the penetration regardless, though. 200 meter range. You got an extra 8 AP on top of the 5 that it already had. That would have been like 13, right? Up to this Panzerschreck. Gets the ammo storage hit. Can it find the second shot on target? The rifles have a lot of work to do to stop that Panzerschreck from finding a second shot. Chickendew's just going to run away from that engagement for now. Right, on the top side here, 250-10 engaging the rifles. Flampanzer is in position. Panzergrens are coming up, but the stormtroopers are in a really nice position here to engage any infantry that comes through the trees at the 100 meter range and throw down their HE grenade. Half track is going to get killed by the 50 meter grenades. Panzerschreck has been killed off as well by the 2-star rifles, and these Panzergrens aren't in a good place either. Wow, a serious amount of damage there coming down onto the Panzer Grenadiers, and the town is quickly falling in favour of Fodlord. So Chickendew has ground on the top and bottom side, but with the Ram 2 coming up to this top area, it might help take care of the half tracks here quite nicely. One thing we can see, however, is that the stormtroopers that were here were killed off, so that's not going to stop the Panzergrens from breaking through. And with those Panzergrens still in position, it could cause issues for the Ram 2 moving forward, since the Panzerfaust won't be gotten rid of like I assumed it would have been with the stormtroopers there. And the Panzer 3 looking for a close range engagement with the Ram 2. The closer this Ram 2 gets, the more it gives a chance for the Panzer 3 to actually win the engagement, because like I said, the extra veterancy is really what makes the difference at close range, because the first shot will hit, or be more likely to hit. So if they're the Panzer 3M then hit its shot because the Ram 2 missed due to its veterancy, that would be due to their veterancy at close range, when the Ram 2 at long range would barely even be penetrated regardless. That's an ammo storage hit onto the Panzer 3M. Chickendew just going to be trying to run away from that engagement best he can with that Panzer 3. Not entirely sure his intention here, because the Ram 2 can quite simply just come out and shoot that in the rear. Panzer 3M is not getting away from that, and the Ram 2 does the job. Best bet in that situation, in my opinion, just keep it close to this building, wait until the morale recovers, and then go for another close range engagement with the Ram 2. So here comes the Panzerwehr for strike once again. There isn't any half tracks though this time to really take advantage of this. Yes, it will soften up a lot of this infantry. It even killed the command infantry, which is a really nice kill. It's going to push the stormtroopers in the face of this half track as well. So that wasn't half bad. That Panzerwerfer had quite nice lethality there. And the Flampanzer are going to be surrendering a unit of infantry off the side of Fodlord. But we can see that now the 250-10 is gone here. The Ram 2 is going to try and get into position to take out the Flampanzer. And once that's gone, the rifles can then start to push through quite successfully. So Marder 3 is going to be trying to engage the Ram 2 now on the top side of the town here. Chickendew is just going to be trying to back out of the 1000 meter range engagement, but the driver wounded is not very good. Oh dear, this could be really bad for Chickendew. Allowing that Ram 2 to kill the Marder 3 is definitely what you don't want in this engagement. The Jagdpanzer will probably have a better chance of killing the Ram 2 at range, just because the 14 front armor at the 1000 meter range is going to be incredibly difficult for a Ram 2 to penetrate. And then at the 1000 meter range, the Jagdpanzer will have 14 AP, which will be enough to penetrate the Ram 2. So even if the Ram 2 gets into range of the Jagdpanzer like it did the Marder 3, then that's going to be much better engagement for Chickendew. But still a +1 in Chickendew's favour, counting up the points slowly but surely. On this top side, the Flampanzer just waiting to ambush some of this infantry at close range. With its weapon jammed, however, is not going to be able to fire. And that's just going to leave the Panzergrens to do the job. And since they don't have many men left, well, that last guy is going to go down soon enough, I'm sure. Unless he can get the machine gun on target and the Flampanzer finds a surrender again. So regardless of not having any weapons available, the rifle's still going to lay down their arms in sight of that. Must have been a real scary beast. Pak 38 does get forced to unload by the 6-pounder here. On the main road, the Jagdpanzer now engaging the Ram 2 at that 1,000 meter range we briefly talked about. On the top, half-track is arriving, but with the Ram 2 in tow, and also with Kangaroos now on the field. I feel like it's only a matter of time until these half-tracks get dealt with, and also the Panzer Grenadiers. The thing is with these Kangaroos, those 50 cows can kill off the half-tracks, whilst the Kangaroos are unlikely to be penetrated themselves by an MG on a half-track. So, just a permanent advantage there for Fodlord. However, Chickendew's still going to do damage with his Panzergrens. That one Panzergren there with the MG42 just took out the 6-pounder, which is incredible. Panzerwerfer is going to take out another 6-pounder on the top side. Chickendew's making sure that he is free to use his vehicles wherever he needs to, without having to be worried about those 6-pounders. Rest of the rocket's going to go into the town. Sainte-Mère-Église, as always, an absolute burning pile of rubble after these battles. Half-track is doing a lot of damage to the rifles, but the Ram is going to clean that up. Marder 3 is going to be engaging these scouts. The sniper scouts, they're taking out the Pak 38 on the top side of the town. But now we're in Phase B. There is actually pioneers available on the side of Chickendew, which may allow him to gain a strong advantage in the town, unless he allows his half-tracks to be killed off by the Ram 2. And, well, 2 of them go down, one of them with the pioneer still inside. And, well, that is a pretty big mistake, because I feel like with 2 pioneer squads available, he could have definitely pushed through a lot of these rifles. Of course, the Wasp Mark II might be an issue, but I was going to say the Jagdpanzer can maybe take care of that. However, in this case, the Ram 2 was allowed to get too close to the Jagdpanzer, then found the penetration chance due to the closer range, and, well, now the Wasp's going to be taking full advantage. That Wasp running down these pioneers, you can just see them running for their lives. Poor chaps. This Wasp should just keep going. I don't know why that's not... Why is that not still going? The Marder's being killed on the top side here by the Ram. Now the Ram's going to be taking on the 258. This Wasp should just drive straight into the 257 and the Panzerwerfer and kill them both. Yes, okay, there's a Jagdpanzer now coming up the road, but I think that would still be a good idea. You could fast move down here, break line of sight with these buildings, just run over the Opel Blitz munition, blow that up, and then it would kill the Panzerwerfer easy. 257 would be killed as well because it's open top. I feel that's a massively missed opportunity there from Fodlord. But either way, the game shall go on with a 57% territory lead now in favour of Fodlord. So it seems like the 116th has been broken. Chickendew may be making a little bit too many mistakes in this game so far, although that is a nice kill onto the Ram 2. Jagdpanzer helping out. The first one going down to that Ram 2 though is not good, and the Marder 3 also dying on the top and bottom side is just not great either. He's really running out of options moving into the late game, especially considering Fodlord will be coming out with things like Fireflies into Phase C when we get there. He's also already got Wolverines on the field, which are going to be able to clean up a lot of units from range, but these Panzerwerfer strikes, they aren't half bad. They've really been doing a lot of damage. It's just, once again, there's nothing to really capitalize on that. So 258, going to be engaging the Staghound AA. 6-pounder is there to try and kill that off, though. There's just a lot of units on the side of the 3rd Canadian Infantry right now, compared to the 116th. And I think the lack of economy into Phase B right here is really affecting the 116th just so damn much. This Jagdpanzer has basically got to find the kill onto the Ram 2. Then more infantry has got to be brought in the form of like pioneers to break through the town. You've got to find more Panzergrens to push through the top side, assisted by something like a Panzer IV. And at the moment, all of these things just seem like an impossible task. Now this Jagdpanzer is being engaged upon by the Wolverine. Is going to manage to bail out the Ram 2 though, so that's a good start. But Chickendew, I feel, has a very long way to go before he can bring this back. So Jagdpanzer does have the advantage against an M10 at range, but whether or not he's going to be able to capitalize on that remains to be seen. Driver knocked out, crew knocked out. Wolverine should be able to get the shot that forces that back, and he will find it. Ram 2 is going to go down to the Befehl Panzer IV. So that bailout is not going to be fixed up. 257 is going to be providing smoke cover for the Jagdpanzer to recover. This Panzer IIIM on the bottom side has got to find a close range engagement with the Wolverine in order to succeed down here. There is still a chance, I feel, but the lack of infantry availability on the side of the 116th is going to severely affect the capability of grinding through these rifles. Even things like the Sniper Scouts and the Vickers HMG, just all of it makes it incredibly difficult to keep these Panzergrens alive in order to secure ground after you've taken it. Because if these Panzergrens die in the process of pushing through all of these units, then again the infantry availability is really going to start to come into play. Now, not having a successful push in B as well with the pioneers into this town is something that definitely affected Chickendew. Because the thing is with the 3rd Canadians is they have fantastic stormtroopers, for example, in Phase A. But in Phase B and C, the 3rd Canadian Infantry can definitely be exploited by really strong HE infantry. But some really nice kills here. M10 goes down to the Befehl Panzer IV. We see the Panzer III here kill off this M7DD. And now this 6-pounder also being hit pretty hard. Panzerwerfer is going to try and hit this Sexton, stop that from being effective. So we all know how annoying those 3-star Sextons are to fight against. Panzer III is going to have to move away from that artillery strike. Another 6-pounder has arrived. That's going to be taking shots at the Panzer III as well. Only going to be a matter of time until that actually hits the mark. So Panzer III, yeah, definitely has to move now, regardless of that artillery fire. This isn't looking good here, honestly. Rifles are getting dangerously close to basically surrendering these Panzergrens. If the Panzer IIIM gets pinned down, that could just be a double surrender there. The Panzergrens are managing to get away from it. Panzer III is managing to pin down the rifles, so crisis averted for now. Now, considering how little units Chickendew had here, he's recovered quite well, and has now put himself in a position where he might be able to continue to push through. However, like I said before, you can't afford to sacrifice any infantry unnecessarily at this point due to lack of infantry availability on the side of the 116th. And losing another Panzergrenadier unit on the top side is not going to help matters at all. We have a half-track coming in to the bottom side of the town here. They're actually going to bump into the stormtroopers. We'll have to see if Chickendew reacts to that correctly. Kangaroo was killed on the top side by the Panzergren, so nice job there. There is a limited amount of forces here from Fodlord in the town. Oh, stormtroopers did actually get their grenade off. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, indeed. The 20 HE power grenade not only blew up the half-track, but instant surrendered the pioneers. That is devastating for Chickendew and his attempts to get back into this town. Wow, those stormtroopers can really put up a fight. I wouldn't have even expected to see any stormtroopers left at this point on the side of Chickendew. Like, he probably went into that town thinking the same thing as I did, in a sense where by phase B and C, normally the stormtroopers are killed off and you don't have to worry about them. But in this case, driving straight into a squad and definitely paying the price. 257 is going to be trying to kill off this 6-pounder as the Jagdpanzer pushes toward it. Firefly 5C is now on the field though. And without any Panthers really coming out anytime soon from Chickendew, I feel like this Firefly could do a hell of a lot of damage. Like, the Panthers that you can get as 116th, they cost 280 points, right? And you get 125 points per minute. And that just makes them not very affordable at all. You've got to wait almost 3 minutes if you don't have any points left in order to get one. And that's a long time. Meanwhile, the Firefly 5C comes in here, smashes the Jagdpanzer there. Now at close range, we'll be able to annihilate the Panzer IV. It's just the aim time on these Firefly 5Cs is just so nice. And there you can see it paying off as it takes on the Panzer IV. Now Panzergrens are trying to do some work on this bottom side. If they can get that MG to fire again, they should finish off this rifle squad. However, the Sexton going to be saving the day with that pin. Another Panzergren dies on the top side. I just feel like this infantry availability in general is just not doing very well for Chickendew right now. And the more this game goes on, the worse it's going to get. Firefly 5C does get hit by the Panzerwerfer, but doesn't get fully pinned. Stormtroopers, yes, they're going to come under fire from that grenade, but they still managed to kill 6 of the men in that Pioneer squad. And that's all that Fodlord really needs to do at this point. Just needs to continue to hold back the infantry that Chickendew sends his way, and he will inevitably win because his infantry availability is so much more. And it's not going to be hard for him to hold back the infantry, especially since he relies on these kangaroos, which is actually a really nice choice versus the combination that Chickendew is using in his infantry and half-tracks. Wasp, they're going to zoom through. Not going to be able to finish off the Pioneers. It does find a little salient. 53% territory lead in favour of Fodlord. He's in a really, really nice position, honestly. Like, yeah, there's not really much... Like, he could have pushed, right? He could have pushed all the way through, I think, and definitely sealed the deal. There's no reason for him to really do that when he's sitting very comfortably at the moment. And his Panzer, or his Firefly 5C here, just annihilating this Panzer IV, forcing that back. It's just these Fireflies at this point, incredibly hard to deal with. Panther G is on the way from Chickendew. That's coming into the bottom. I like that the Panther has come in, but I feel like if you know there's a Firefly here, you want to kill that, rather than bringing it in to make a push on the bottom where, honestly, there aren't really many forces to work with. You got one man on an MG42, you got a Panzergren squad. What's this Panther G gonna do? There's like 3 AT guns down here as well. 2 of which you know about because you've been attacking them. I don't know if bringing the Panther G down here is the best idea at all. But at this point, there isn't really much left for Chickendew to do. We don't see any more infantry coming in yet. He's probably just saved a bunch of points recently to bring in the Panther G anyway. It really, I guess, depends on what comes next. Because if this Panther G can do a lot of work, then maybe we might see a breakthrough on the bottom side. But the likelihood of that happening in the face of 3 AT guns is just incredibly unlikely. And this Panzergren is going to get absolutely demolished. Priest DD, 2 kangaroos, 2 rifle squads. They're just dead. And losing infantry like that is just something that Chickendew cannot afford to do. Stack Hound AA does go down to Chickendew's Panther G, but without any infantry now completely around this Panther, artillery fire coming down upon it, it's only a matter of time until this Panther G gets completely overwhelmed. On the top side, it's just going to be some Speertrupp and the Panzer Grenadiers. Got the 232 that's going to be hit by the 6-pounder. Going to put some morale damage onto the Panther G. The Panzerwerfer firing away once again. Actually going to miss the 17-pounder quite a lot. I'm assuming that was the target, but didn't quite hit the mark. +2 now in favour of Fodlord, and quickly moving towards a +3 with 63% territory lead. So yeah, I feel like just in general throughout the game so far, the 116th has just been outmatched. Again in A, by the Wasp Stormtroopers in the town, by the Rams in the open. In Phase B, we did see that the Rams got cleaned up eventually by the Jagdpanzer, but the fact that a Ram was allowed to kill a Jagdpanzer really didn't help out Chickendew's cause. Let's see how this Focke-Wulf 190 does though. That is a 15 HE power bomb. I was going to say, if that could kill the Bedford supply, it might get a really nice triple kill there. But the bomb not really big enough to make that happen. This might prevent the Sextons from doing damage for a little while, but nothing too significant that Fodlord has to deal with right now. The Panther G is still going to pick off any targets that are presented toward it, but the Panther G can't move forwards aggressively in this situation at all. And the 232 did get killed off, so the Panther G has a lack of veterancy. Yeah, I don't know if this was the right response at this point, especially not in that area. And now we have a Mosquito coming in with the 4 15 HE power bombs. It looks like Fodlord was reminded that he can do the same thing to pin down units. That Mosquito though kind of missed the mark. I thought it dropped its bombs a little bit early. Panther G just being able to reverse away from that and not be affected. If it was affected, then the Wasp Mark II may have been running that down very quickly indeed. So yeah, I think just a number of mistakes on the side of Chickendew. And it's really just led up to this point where he doesn't have the resources to push through. And infantry availability is always an issue with the 116th. And losing again pioneers very easily, like one to the Stormtrooper squad here, one just got killed off in the town before it unloaded. Those are significant kills when it comes to a 116th matchup. And after 30 minutes and 12 seconds, Chickendew is going to surrender, giving the game to Fodlord. Well played to him. 2,120 kills to 1,880 losses. In the early game, it could have gone either way. But again, the mistakes out of Chickendew left it in favour of Fodlord. In terms of kills, Ram 2, look at that. That is what I'm talking about. That is why the 3rd Canadian have the advantage in this matchup. Again, this Ram 2 paid itself off. 250-10, 251, 258, Marder 3. Fantastic stuff from those Ram 2s. and the Firefly 5C came in before Chickendew could afford a Panther and cleaned up a lot of those units. Very nice job indeed, making good use of the Canadian armor in alongside his infantry to gain the advantage that he should have had throughout the game. So that's very good play out there from Fodlord. In terms of losses, well, the Flam Panzer did have the run around early on, but couldn't quite get the job done. Same with this Flam Panzer. The Ram 2 coming down from the top side and cleaning that up was really good. Panzerwerfer though, that had some really nice hits, but I don't think they were necessarily taken advantage of properly. They hit the right places, but that could have led to so many more surrenders if there was just the half track sent in at the right time or the Flam Panzer sent in at the right time. This Jag Panzer getting the kill onto the Ram 2 eventually, then the Panzer 4 finishing off the other Ram 2 after it was bailed out. Took out the Wolverine, which was good. This Wolverine got taken out by the Panzer 3 at close range, which was good on the bottom side. But the Panther G here, Staghound AA Universal Carrier Rifles, not really a kill list that you want to look at when it comes to a Panther G. And that's pretty much it. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.